Remember, don't steal or do anything dishonest. Your government hates competition.
Anonymous News. As the world turns, what's new has our full attention. Join us to post what mainstream media will not, the truth. If you do not want this read, do you click links or read below? Thanks. Fukushima is falling apart. Are you ready for a mass extinction event? If they are max fuel, containing 6% plutonium, one fuel rod has the potential to kill 2.89 billion people. If this poo collapses, as Senator Wyden is now saying too, we would face a mass extinction event from the release of radiation in those rods. That is, if we aren't in one already. Nuke experts like Arnie, Gundersen and Helen Caldicott are prepared to evacuate their families to the southern hemisphere if that happens. It is that serious. So now you know, if you didn't before. We are in big trouble. Fukushima is falling apart. Are you ready? End the lie. April 21, 2012. 13 months have passed since the Fukushima reactors exploded, and the United States Senator finally got off his ass and went to Japan to see what is going on over there. What he saw was horrific. And now he is saying that we are in big trouble. See the letter he sent to the United States Ambassador to Japan Ichiro Fujizaki, Secretary of Energy Stephen Gu, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and NRC's Chairman Gregory Jachko here. But what is so ironic about this is that we have been in this heap of trouble since March of 2011. March 17th, to be exact, when the plume of radioactive materials began bombarding the west coast of California, and Oregon, and Washington, and British Columbia, and later Maine, Europe, and everywhere in between. Independent researchers, nuke experts, and scientists, from oceanography to entomology and everywhere in between, having been trying to sound the alarm ever since. The scientists most upset are those who have studied the effects of radiation on health. I'll say it again, so it's really clear, we are in big trouble. The most preliminary reports of soil contamination are starting to come in from the USGS, who has seemed reluctant to share this information. Los Angeles, California, Portland, Oregon, and Boulder, Colorado, so far have the highest radioactive particle contamination out of the entire United States. That being said, every single city tested across the country showed contamination from Fukushima. What is even more alarming, however, about the numbers coming in, is that they are from samples taken April 5th of last year. The Tokyo Electric Power Company, or TEPCO, has only recently confirmed that there were 3 meltdowns, and they have been ongoing, unabated, for 13 months, and no effort has been made to contain them. Technology has to be developed/invented to deal with the melted-out corium under the reactors. Until then, they will keep doing what they have been doing. TEPCO just keeps dumping water on them, after which they let it pour into the ocean and steam up through the ground, every second of every day. The jet stream, and a highly dynamic portion of our atmosphere called the troposphere, have been swirling around massive amounts of radioactive particles and settling them out, mostly in rain, over the entire northern hemisphere, especially the west coast of North America, from Alaska down to Bahia and even further. Iodine, cesium, strontium, plutonium, uranium, and a host of other fission products have been coming directly from Japan to the west coast for 13 months. Maybe you have heard about sick seals, polar bears, tainted fish, mutations in dandelions and fruits and vegetables, possibly even animals already, and seaweed. In fact, the kelp from Corona del Mar contained 40 million BCQ/kilograms of radioactive iodine, as reported in Scientific American several weeks ago. If you don't know your becquerels, it's a lot. That's what your Pacific fish feed on. And that was only one isotope reported. There were up to 1,600 different isotopes that have been floating around in our air, pouring out of the reactors, and steaming out of the ground, every second of every day, for 13 months. And there has been silence from our mainstream media, for which the depths of depravity are so severe I will devote an entire article just to the why at a future time. But back to the research. Reports in the past week indicate the pollen in Southern California is radioactive now too, and it is flying around, and if you live there and go outside, you are breathing it in. And so are your children. Along with fission products blowing over from Japan. And radiation in your drinking water. And in your rain. And in the fish you are eating. And your vegetables. And the milk supply. And it's happening every second of every day. For 13 months. Are you starting to see a problem here? Problem is, that's not even the biggest problem. The biggest problem is what Senator Wyden is all bent out of shape about, even though independent researchers and nuke experts have been warning about this for a year. And that is that the reactor number 4 building is on the verge of collapsing. Seismicity standards rate the building at 0, meaning even a small earthquake could send it into a heap of rubble. And sitting at the top of the building, in a pool that is cracked, leaking, and precarious even without an earthquake, are 1565 fuel rods, give or take a few, some of them, fresh fuel that was ready to go into the reactor on the morning of March 11th when the earthquake and tsunami hit. If they are max fuel, containing 6% plutonium, one fuel rod has the potential to kill 2.89 billion people. If this poo collapses, as Senator Wyden is now saying too, we would face a mass extinction event from the release of radiation in those rods. That is, if we aren't in one already. Nuke experts like Arnie, Gundersen and Helen Caldicott are prepared to evacuate their families to the southern hemisphere if that happens. It is that serious. So now you know, if you didn't before. We are in big trouble. Get informed. Start paying attention to this. Every single statement in this article is verifiable, and I will continue to verify and validate the seriousness of this situation at every opportunity I have. This may be the most important thing you ever pay attention to, for the sake of your family, friends, your neighbors, everyone you know and meet, all of humanity. It's been 13 months, you have some catching up to do. Your government working hard to protect you. Itself, from you. Please help, share this article with others, see links to this below, thanks.
The heroic fight with us. The honest support us. The corrupt fear us. For we are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forget. We do not forgive. Expect us to expose you.